forgive me. I've even gone 1 year ahead of you guys. Okay, this is this year, the 6th edition, which we have the agency banking in the digital age, enforcing standards, 1, seizing opportunities, 2, and managing risk, 3. And it's so apt because we have been dealing with so many issues of fraud. We've been asking ourselves with some of the policy the CBN is coming on ground with the e-Naira as a product, with some of the rumor that we're hearing that there will no longer be ATMs. You know how social media can be sometimes. All of these things we are going to have addressed in today's gathering so that we know where we stand. But one of the most important denominator in all of this conversation is the fact that everybody has realized the importance and the relevance of agent bankers. So no matter how the policy changes, we are still here. We will still be here tomorrow. We'll still be here next tomorrow. We'll still be here forever. I'm not sure whether we'll be there in heaven, but let us manage earth first. All right? So ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together for yourself one more time. Well, I know that all of my speakers are in the house, but let me do this last assignment before we go in officially. I want to say a big thank you to all of the sponsors over the years that have made it possible for us. Konga, Hackman Microfinance Bank, GT Bank, KPP Global Services, Diamond Bank, Quick Teller, Tangerine, iRichard, Money, Papers Open, I think I got that wrong, Accelerate, Paga, Freedom Network, OK, Dot Pay, OPay, Payforce, Pay Center, Money Point, ParaPay, Ecosystem, Cintiamo, Fair Money, High Access, Orange, Zenith Bank, Innovative, Kudi, Fidelity Bank, Bankly, Now, Hackman Pay, OMN Branches, Remita, Leadway Pension, Paystack, Investment One, Cellulant, as well as MCash. These are all the brands that have identified with the AMMBAN vision from 2016. Please put your hands together for them. It's not easy, I can tell you. Sometimes a lot of the economic challenges that we're facing can put us in a very, very dark space. But they have seen the vision of being a brand leader and have identified with AMMBAN. And AMMBAN obviously is going places. You can see that as witness in the ambience that we're all seated in. In 2016, we didn't have this kind of starting, which was a humble beginning. Right now, we are now at the Buga level. And so it's important for us to make sure that also our businesses are feeling that spirit of Bugaism. So, ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, I would like to ask every one of us to be upstanding for us to take the national anthem. Apparently, we are going to have to voice it since the instrumental is not going to be supporting us as it is. Everybody, are they ready with that? I doubt it. Do they have the national anthem? So, Nigerians will have to learn the recital. But it's okay. After 3, 1, 2, 3. Arise, O compatriot, Nigeria's call obey, to serve our fatherland with love and strength and faith. The labor of our heroes past shall never be in vain, to serve with heart and mind one nation bound in freedom, peace and unity. Hip, hip, hip. All right, you can have your seat. Nigeria is worth celebrating, isn't it? Some of you, I know that you are murmuring. You didn't know the stanzas. This is what happens when you didn't go to proper primary school. You know, and when you don't recite the national anthem, it's a problem. But we will all get there. We're all learning every day. It's all one step after the other, and that is the great thing of it all. AMMBAN has a vision, ladies and gentlemen. Sorry, ladies and gentlemen, we need to adjust this so that we can have the proper you all deserve. Now, to be the focal point and number one driver of financial inclusion in Nigeria by providing excellent service and delivering value to Nigerians' financially vulnerable and excluded population is a very important vision and focus that is driving so much of the excellence of which AMMBAN is noted for. And so, leadership is important, ladies and gentlemen. And when you know a leader who is able to put his association far before himself or herself, you will see the testimony in the outlook. You will see the testimony in the results. And I'm very, very proud and honored to be associated with this gentleman who over the years I've worked with, and today we are a testament of the fact that when you are guided with vision and you are focused, you will certainly gain the results. Ladies and gentlemen, please, may we all be upstanding as I welcome the National President of the Association of Mobile Money and Bank Agents in Nigeria, Mr. Victor Lodger. Please stand up and put your hands together for him. It deserves a standing applause. Because it's not easy to be able to man an affair for all of these years and still be able to stay standing. It's like they're just moving me from one point to another point. That is because of Mr. Lodger. You're welcome, sir.
Thank you very much. Please, you may be comfortably seated. It's not my birthday, so it's a big honor. Thank you for that honor. I'd like to welcome everyone here present today. We are indeed very delighted to be here today. And I'd like to recognize all of our dignitaries here present. I'd like to recognize our speakers here present. And I'd like to also specifically mention, I want to thank Professor Olawale Ajayi. I want to welcome Sanes, the person of Mrs. Ronke Kuyi, well represented. I'd also like to recognize a very good friend of the house and one of the big giants of the industry, Mr. Stanley Jacobs. I'd like to recognize our sister association, AMPO, and ably represented by the Vice Chairman of AMPO, Mr. Isa Aliyu Shata. You're welcome. I'd like to also recognize the branch controller of the CBN Lagos. Please put your hands together for Mr. Koyo. We are particularly very happy. Lagos, AMMBAN Lagos. I hope you are taking notes. I also like to recognize the representative of the GM of LASRA. Here present, you're very welcome to the entire LASRA team. I'd like to also recognize our partners, our sponsors. I'd like to recognize Flutterway. I'd like to recognize the software group from Kenya, Bankley, Accelerate, Sabi, BDF, and just everyone who has been with us from day one. We really appreciate you. We are happy of this partnership and relationship, and we are happy that our industry is very well taking shape. Just before I go straight into my opening remarks for this conference, I want to celebrate all agents. I mean, as at 3 a.m., people were still coming from Kebbi, Yobe, Gombe, Adamawa. Please let's put our hands together for all of our agents who have come from far and near. I mean, we make bold to say that the AMMBAN conference is the largest gathering of agents and aggregators. We are movers. We are able to influence the market and industry. Every agent or aggregator you see here is able to control and influence the market within its sphere. And we are happy. I mean, people are wondering, how can a group of POS operators, ordinary POS operators, how can they be so organized? How can they be so full of vision? How can they be so certain about what they're doing? And that is what AMMBAN represents. And from day one, this is the seventh year running, because we missed out a year during the COVID for our conference. We've been pushing, and year upon year, we keep getting better. And we can attribute that to each and every member of AMMBAN who have been so dedicated into putting in their best in ensuring that our goals are well preserved. So it's my delight and privilege to welcome agents, super agents, aggregators, mobile money operators, payment service bank executives, commercial bank executives, SANEF, the CBN, the police formation across the country. We are still expecting the police. They'll be joining us very shortly. Government agencies, parastatals, sister associations, like I mentioned earlier, LASRA, Government of Lagos, and just about every member and delegate. Welcome you to the 6th edition of the AMMBAN National Conference. The year 2022 has been a phenomenal one for us as agents and our industry at large, as we have recorded a number of significant events during the course of the year. Most significant is the quantum leap in the aggregate number of new mobile money and bank agents that has been recorded in the market space as at today. According to NIBS, in the last 9 months of this year, 2022, Nigerians spent a total of 6.5 trillion, 05 trillion through the POS. Let's put our hands together for ourselves, which is almost the same amount recorded in the year 2021. So it means within the first 8 months of this year, we've already exceeded what was done in the whole of last year. NIBS said the volume of transactions went by 14% year upon year. The journey so far hasn't been without challenges as well. We have had a spate of challenges, some of which include the reversal of paid transactions, network issues, bank customer problems, insecurity, power supply, amongst many others. The theme of this year is indeed apt and befitting for this present time. Agency banking has indeed evolved with the impressive growth that has been recorded so far. It has become expedient for us all and discuss issues around proper regimentation, standardization, and seizing opportunities within our business space. AMMBAN at the national level remains very committed to our vision on being the focal point and #1 driver of financial inclusion in Nigeria by providing excellent services and delivering value to Nigeria's financially vulnerable population. And at this point, let me just pause to discuss some of the issues. While we were setting up yesterday, a couple walked up in here and said they were actually wanting to buy a podium and their Google search led them here. So we said, well, this is the Podium Event Center. They don't sell podiums here. You know, and they were like, okay, so what are you having? We'd like to know more. So we said, well, AMMBAN is having a 6th conference and it's a gathering of agents from across the country. And she was like, really, is there really profit in this business? And we just laughed, you know. And we tried assuring her that it's a very profitable business, but it's not something that anyone should just jump into doing, you know. But because what we've seen today is that people just get the POS and they just put up an umbrella and they just start doing, you know. And the fact is those such people don't last because they've not learned the nitty-gritties of the business. But I'll just be mentioning some very salient and important things I think I would like our lead discussant because, you know, at the end of the day, I'm just a mobile money agent. I'm just a POS agent. We have the technocrats, we have our professors, and people will be doing justice to some of these things. What we can offer will be the real-time experience that we have every day. And some of the things we've noticed is that there seems to be a crime syndicate around the business we do, which comes from both ends. I mean, even we as agents are victims ourselves, and also Nigerians that we serve across the countries are victims across the country rather. And some of the issues we've seen is that the indiscriminate issuance of POS terminal is becoming to cause a huge problem because it has certainly gone out of hand now. And the issues we see, the police will be coming and will be
dealing with these things in depth, But issues around POS being used for kidnapping, robbers have access to POS, fraudulent crime. How are these guys getting these terminals? How is it that these guys are not, in some cases, they cannot be traced? I'll be just looking at 2 case studies today. First will be one that we handled within the AMMBAN management of one of our agents, a member of AMMBAN, who is very devoted and committed. And police just came to our outlet and they picked her up and took her to the police station. And they told her that they've been investigating a case, a crime, a robbery case that happened a year before that date. And they had to get a court order. They wrote to the bank and everything. And from their investigation, the terminal that was used in perpetrating that crime is tagged against her name. And I mean, God's so good, she actually had that terminal. She has her own terminal. So when the case, kept unfolding, we went to her shop, we took the terminal that she has been using since she became an agent. And what we realized was that in that company, in that organization, against her name, she has about 2 terminals against her name. And the one that was used for crime was one that she never received at all. So it means she fell victim for something she knows nothing about. So it means that in dealing with the issues, crime and all of these things within our industry, we can't only focus on agents. We have to also look at these organizations. What are the security checks in place to ensure that we don't have persons in-house who are also colluding in ensuring that things get messy? So these are the things we need to look at to see that agents are protected, and we agents, the things we need to do, all the measures we need to take in ensuring that we play by the rules are very important. More Nigerians are beginning to speak out. I mean, day upon day, week upon week, we've been seeing stories of Nigerians who are speaking out that the moment they went to an agent location, after that transaction, they began to see debits. They began to see debits suddenly. As a matter of fact, we've seen WhatsApp messages where people have said, be careful of POS agents. They are taking your bank details. But the point I want to make very emphatical is that no AMMBAN member would do that. I mean, from time to time, we ensure we train ourselves. We remember the early days of this industry where training was part of it. Training is practically dead now. MMOs are not investing in training. Those days, your business relationship officer will come to your outlet, will train you, and they will sign that they came. Now, we don't have any of those things. What we see is umbrellas around. And AMBA is saying no to umbrella. We say no to umbrella agents. We are happy that the CBN is here, SANEF is here, and all stakeholders. We have started these measures, and just this year, the Lagos State chapter, in collaboration with the national, we've already started a very good and robust relationship with the Lagos State government. We wrote to the executive governor of Lagos State, and he minuted on our letter and assigned Lazarus to work closely with us to ensure that we get rid of those who want to make a mess of our business. And I'm happy that Lazarus is well represented here. Let's put our hands for Lazarus. Lazarus stands for the Lagos State Residents Registration Agency. Yes, so another issue I would just like to bring to the burner is hawking of POS. We believe that money matter is a sensitive matter, and nobody should be seen to, bring down or mess up our business to a point where you are hawking POS. I mean, what we see now are people saying POS here, for money matter. I mean, if you go online and just check crimes and fraud in POS, you'll be appalled by the issues happening. We've seen people who have been defrauded. They go back to that location. They can't find the agents there. So that's why AMMBAN remains committed to ensure that we have some measure of regimentation around our business so that Nigerians can trust POS operators wherever they find one. Just as I begin to conclude, the issue around crime syndicate of our business is actually disturbing and alarming. Unfortunately, the police isn't here at this time, but I trust that they are coming. And I mean, a very funny thing about organized crime, which many of us can attest to, is that it's so bad that agents are now at the receiving end of this. It's now an organized crime defrauding agents. There's a particular case of one that happened in Zuba and Kano. A crime syndicate, a gang. I mean, so what happens is that they defrauded an agent in Zuba and they received it from an agent point in Kano using a fraudulent account. So both agents have just been defrauded. And when the police was going to start investigating, they picked up both agents and they really don't know what happened. You know, they suffered the loss. They had to share the splits. So the point I'm trying to make is that those of the underworld are becoming a lot more sophisticated with their crimes. So we also, forums like this, a conference like this, would help us sharpen our edge, would help us stay abreast of the crimes, you know, that is being committed and how we can ensure those crimes are nipped right on the board. So I believe that all of these questions will be answered during the course of this conference. Let me just quickly say about AMMBAN as an organization. We are happy that we're making progress year upon year. Something phenomenal happened in this year, 2022. I mean, 2 of our state chapters, both Ogun and Oyo states, have new leaders. We had successful election, and the elections were done successfully, and our old pioneer chairman handed over to the new chairman. For us, that's progress. Can we put our hands together, please? As an association, we're happy that we don't have leadership tussles. We're not fighting over some unnecessary things. We're very focused about building an institution that will stand the test of time. I mean, great things are happening in Rivers, Cross River, Bayelsa, in Kebbi, in Kaduna, in Sokoto. Please, I would like to recognize all of our agents who have come from up north. If you are from up north, Kaduna, Kano, please kindly rise for recognition. Please, all of our leader agents from Kebbi, Sokoto, Kano, Bauchi, Gombe, Borno, please rise up. We thank you for coming all the way. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I can see many of you still seated. We are very grateful. And this is the spirit that has built AMMBAN and that has brought AMMBAN to where it is today. In conclusion, I'd like to just appreciate everyone once again, our sponsors, our partners, our members, our supporters, you know, and institutions, both locally and internationally, who have been able to support us, who have continued to work with us from the beginning. I'm very thankful for the incredible support we've enjoyed, and I know that this will continue for a very long time to come. I wish us all a most memorable time as we deliberate and sharpen and shaping our resolve to make our industry better than we met it. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Olojo. When you say you people don't fight, me, I don't understand what that fighting is. But I can be a witness of the fact that that fight is a good fight of agent bankers. It's a fight to make sure that the agent bankers themselves have what they need to be able to thrive. And that's the kind of thing I see the leadership as being. You know, when they called all the northern people, I myself, I stood up because by the special blessing of Alhaji Kamal, me, I'm also from the northern region. I mean, if they don't like, tell them that you have given me my special post. They are using it. That's the way it's supposed to be. And that's the unification that we've all experienced here today. So one more time, can we put our hands together for the President, Victor Olojo, the National President of AMMBAN, that has done an excellent job thus far. It's important for us to recognize him. I would like to quickly recognize the Chief Distribution and Stakeholder Engagement Officer of SANEF, Mrs. Uche Uzoebo. Please, can you put your hands together for her? You're welcome, madam. SANEF has been an amazing organization. As a matter of fact, without SANEF, I don't think we will have this financial space as stable as it is. With over 1 million agents all across the country, It has been a collaborative effort, and SANEF has been in the forefront. We're looking forward to the presentation of the CEO later on in the day and in the program. I would like to quickly recognize also one of our sponsors and supporters. The Chief Operating Officer is in the house here for VFD Microfinance Bank, and that is Madam Linda Umbu. I hope I got that right. Please, can you put your hands together for her? You're welcome. We recognize you, and we say a big thank you for your support. It's important because those supports that you have is the one that is able to make my check not bounce, you know, and that's the beauty of it all. VFD Microfinance Bank is out there, you know, at the exhibition stand. Please make sure you visit the stand and then avail yourself of what they have in terms of solutions and products that can help your business go to the next level. As you can see, AMMBAN has grown over the years. This was not what AMMBAN was like in 2016. Obat, isn't it? I remember then we were dragging with the desk. You know, now me, I'm talking to you across, you know, from a high podium. And that is to show you the fact, Alaji sitting there smiling. You know, he was not there in 2016, you know. But the beauty of it all is that we are all collaborating, and then we are all making it work as it is. I know the president said earlier on in the speech that the common agent bankers, you know, he used that statement because people don't know how uncommon the agent bankers are. You understand? You are able to bring together CBN, SANEF, you know, and all these other institutions together to address the issues that concerns every one of us. That is to show how important, commonly and uncommonly important, the agent banking space is. So please, one more time, can you put your hands together for yourselves? Now, I talk for a living, but I always tell people that you're not here to listen to me. When I have my speaking engagements, I can invite you for that. But here I'm made to understand that we have a sign language interpreter, just in case we have anybody who is living with any disability in terms of hearing. Please call my attention so I can get Mr. Adedinron Babatunde up on the podium to help with the sign languages so that we do not excommunicate any member of the society. I would like to quickly call on Mr. Stephen Adeoye to come up and help me out with a very important part of the program, because a lot of the reason some of you have left, you know, all the way from the north, Sokoto, Kano, Kaduna, to be here in Lagos, you know, not minding all of the risk to attend here. It's important for us to recognize how important you are as well. So please, can you put your hands together for my namesake, Mr. Stephen Adeoye?
Thank you, Mr. Stephen. We thank you all for being here. And I want to talk particularly about the certificate of participation. Please, we're sorry for some who have not received their certificate of participation for last year at Abuja. The reason were, one, some paid and we did not receive the value until the end of the program. Then some left before the program finishes. So we want to avoid that this year. We are sorry. We have our 2 booths there for collection of those certificates from last year that is still in our care. You can go out there, the booth, you see certificate of participation. You can collect the one for last year there, check your name. And if yours is also not there, put down your name, we will also have it for you. You have the second booth also for this year. We want to avoid the situation of last year, and that is why, for all those who are present, we have a fine certificate of participation here. As you are going out there, you pay 1,000 naira, and you pay through the POS there, and you collect your certificate immediately. I think that is better. So we have made that arrangement. So there will be no issue of saying I did not collect it or not. And you know our certificate is very, very important. When the time comes for election or any other thing, you can present your certificate. We know, yes, you are cooperating with AMMBAN. Thank you so much. 1,000 naira for this. My General Secretary also wants to add 1 or 2 things. Yeah, another information is that for those who want to pay online, we will soon send an account number. For those who want to pay online, they can pay so that they can also have their certificate. Thank you so much. Mr. Steve, we enjoy you.
Please, can you put your hands together for Mr. Stephen? It's not easy to stand before a very distinguished audience like you guys and be able to make sense. And he has done that excellently. That's just an impressive and engaging thing. Ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, we are making progress as it is. And it gives me great delight that my first keynote presentation is by a man who is interested in facilitating and participating in the bringing together of wide range and diverse experiences, viewpoint, culture, stakeholders, and synergies of new knowledge, capacity, and capability, as well as mutually beneficial partnerships. He is a member of the Nigerian Bar Association, Chartered Institute of Taxation of Nigeria, Institute of Directors of Nigeria, Chartered Institute of Personnel Management of Nigeria, and a fellow of the Lead International. He is a legal practitioner of the Supreme Court of Nigeria and a professor of legal, social, and political environment of business and head Department of Strategy and Entrepreneurship at the Lagos Business School, Pan-Atlantic University, Lagos. Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together for Professor Olawale Ajayi as he comes up to give his keynote presentation titled Agency Banking in the Digital Age, Enforcing Standards, Seizing Opportunities, and Managing Risk. As a matter of fact, Lagos Business School has been with us from the very inception, and we are glad and proud to have Prof. join us here for this keynote presentation. You're welcome, sir.
Good morning to you all. I stand on existing protocols, so please bear with me. I want to say thank you to the association for giving me the opportunity to share a few thoughts with you. And I want to say again to all of those who have come from far-flung places, I hope you are fully awake. If you came in by 3 a.m., I think you are very strong. You're looking very bright. So we want to talk about agency banking in the digital age, enforcing standards, seizing opportunities, and managing risks. I was asked to do this presentation. I thought I was just going to be one of the speakers. And then he said, you will give a keynote address. But I thought that I didn't want to just be abstruse and merely academic. It would be useful for me to touch base with the ecosystem and find out from you what exactly is happening at ground level. So we decided to send out a survey to association members and to the financial service providers, those who interface with you, in order to have an idea of what it is you are going through, what it is you are facing. I was told there are about 3,000 of you to whom the survey link was going to be sent to. President, I don't know if it was actually sent because we only received 114 responses. I think maybe too much Turinchi in the... So for those of you who took the pains to respond, we're very grateful. It's that type of collaboration and cooperation that helps us to put forth the data that can help to drive the change that you require. So if you have not, filled it, I want you to bear the pains and go through it and fill that survey so we can have a more representative view of what is happening. Hopefully, some of these things will be useful for policymakers or maybe as an advocacy for AMMBAN as it seeks to drive change, particularly in policy and regulatory measures. I'll try to just give a sense of what we found. But let me look very briefly at the literature, I'm picking the operative words in the title. So we want to look at agency banking, what is it? Enforcing standards, what is that? And opportunities and also risks. So I want to look at some of the things that have been written around some of those variables in the title. Well, I don't need to define agency banking to you, which you very much know, but it's the provision of financial services to customers by third-party agents on behalf of a licensed deposit-taking financial institution. That's the CBN Agent Banking Guidelines 2013. And the theory really is that, the agency theory really is that there's a need to manage issues around trust between the principal and the agent, as well as to ensure that processes are in place to enable them to work in a mutually beneficial manner. Agents are in charge of the business of the principal, so to say. So issues about information asymmetry are clear issues that are raised. But it's very clear from the CBN's agent banking guidelines that the roles of the agents and principal in the relationship has been defined, and the CBN also has its own role. And of course, the role of the principal is basically to ensure that the strategic risk management processes are put in place. Recruiting of the agents is done on a risk-based process to ensure you have the right, you have fit and proper persons in place. Equipping the agents, orientation, education and information. And of course, the principal bears fiduciary responsibility and vicarious responsibility as far as, the transactions, agency transactions are concerned. The idea, of course, is that agents may be, at the ground level, may be involved in various other things they are doing, but as far as the transactions, financial transactions are concerned, the principal bears the vicarious liability. So obviously that puts a burden on them to not too troubled about. Now, the role of agents, of course, is to do the cash in, cash out, and payments. Various types of payments, including salaries, funds transfer, collecting and submission of account opening and other related documentation, etc. And of course, the CBN is supposed to monitor and see that things are going well from the principal's point of view, but to also make spot visits to agents where this is required. And the opportunities are very clear. If you just move on as I go on. Opportunities, I think I'm now on the third slide. So you have to move, okay, so issues of supervision. It's very clear in literature that unless you monitor agents, you are going to get into trouble. So those monitoring frameworks from the principals to the agents, and of course in the network management is also very key. This has been recognized from way back. The opportunities, of course, are that agents can help to lower costs of financial service providers. They can help serve underserved populations at lower costs. Agents are the most cost-effective at that level. And of course, agent banking is profitable, should generally be profitable for FSPs and the agents as well.
And the other point is that it's not just to do agency banking. There must be a constant, flow of products and services for, customers in order to ensure financial inclusion. In other words, there's to be innovation in the whole chain as we go on. And of course, as far as the risks are concerned, there are the risks regarding handling money or being attacked by hoodlums. There are technical risks about transactions that don't go in. Literature suggests that customers are probably not as worried about that as one would think, but I think that I'm not too sure that fits very well with Nigeria. That may be something that is you can find in some other countries, but I think the fact that we have technical glitches is part of the reason why there are trust issues, at the customer level. And so probably the point is that we need better, quality of services, particularly by MNOs and the banks. So I'm not too sure that point really applies 100% to Nigeria. I think customers are really concerned if there are, missed debits or mistakes and so on, to have things rectified on time, and that doesn't seem to happen. The other thing is that banks will get more out, and financial service providers will get more if they are willing to deploy marketing agents to work with agents, to give support to agents in order to cross-sell financial products. Well, that's the literature. Whether that will work in our own system is another thing, but I'm sure we have people here who can speak to that from the FSP point of view. There's also the risk regarding regulation, and the idea is that regulations should be proportional and should not unduly burden agents. The point also is that if transactions are done against agents' accounts, then that reduces a lot of customer or consumer protection risk of agents misappropriating accumulated cash. Right, so that generally is the literature. We see whether from the data is on point or whether there are some differences as far as Nigeria is concerned. If you move on to the next. So with the survey, as I told you, we had 114 responses. And we also separately interviewed financial service providers. We sent out 37 interview on Google Forms. And we had 9 responses to that. So the results, I must say, are really preliminary, and will need a lot more data to be very authoritative. But I believe we can get some indications and points around which we can interact and discuss. Well, question 1 was, are you aware? Please move on. Are you aware? Yeah. Are you aware of existing rules, regulations, or guidelines by the law government? And 60% said yes, they were aware, and 40% said no. And I think that is a high number in terms of those who are not aware, because ordinarily they should have been onboarded. They should have been given the necessary training by somebody, whether it's the financial service provider or it's the network manager or whatever it is. So that's unduly high. And that's an area that I think regulators and FSPs probably need to note, and I think AMMBAN as well, that we need to ensure that people are conversant with the guidelines, with laws, and even association rules as well. Of course, we asked them if they felt the rules were sufficient, and largely, I think the idea, this was more equivocal. If you move on, please. That was more equivocal. We asked them to identify one or two regulations that they considered to be to identify one or two of those regulations, and I think quite clearly some of them, well, some of the regulations that they consider to be unnecessary, or just there to make business needlessly difficult. And some of these were around pricing, around charges, stamp duty, etc. We also asked to list the sanctions they were aware of. I think most people were aware that you could have your license taken away. Most people knew that you could be liable for money laundering, counterterrorism financing, sanctions. At least those who responded were aware. And there were still quite a large number that were really not, were at sea. What type of sanctions are you talking about? So again, the whole idea of ensuring that there is education and re-education, and that we're recruiting people who are put through the paces, I think is something that needs to be borne in mind. If you move on, we asked them we asked you actually, if you felt that agents are effectively monitored and held accountable for breach of guidelines and regulations. I think you have to move on to question 7. Question 7. I think that's the next. Yes. And you can see there that it's at the other end. In other words, there's still a lot to be done in terms of monitoring agents and holding them accountable. If you look there, you'll find that neither effective nor ineffective. In other words, people are not quite sure whether, if anybody is even monitoring, is useful, or if there is monitoring. That was 25%. 30%, the highest number, about 31% said it was ineffective. And 14% said very ineffective. So certainly, issue of monitoring is something we need to bear in mind. Many, of course, were aware of AMMBAN, about 96%, and why not? But 3.5% were still not. I don't think it's not there. I'm using someone. And how well do you feel the impact of AMMBAN activities? That's also not there, but I think AMMBAN is doing well as far as that is concerned. If you move to the next slide, 60% of those who responded felt that AMMBAN was doing enough to ensure that bank agents adhere to rules, regulations, guidelines, or even AMMBAN association guidelines. So I think this suggests that regulators and operators need to work a lot with AMMBAN to drive down whatever it is they need to do. And I don't know how that is going to be, but the idea really is that AMMBAN will be a very good vehicle in terms even of monitoring, that type of self-monitoring or self-regulation. I think that is something we can take away. The question was also asked, what types of opportunities exist in agency banking that are insufficiently exploited? If you move to the next one, yes, or not yet been exploited. And what we found was that most of the respondents felt that agents could be allowed to do more, including giving out loans, NIN, BVN, account opening, and also more participation in payments. So apparently agents are willing to do more. The question is, what are from a risk perspective, what are some of the things that the policymaker would allow them to do? Now, if PSPs are not even allowed to give credit, I'm not sure the CBN is going to go along that line to say agents can give credit. But the truth of the matter is, I'm not even too sure how much regulation or regulators can put a lid on innovation. Because where there is a need, just like water, it will find its way. The issue will be whether there is sufficient discipline to not go in that direction. And having regard to technology, because we say digital, the truth of the matter, and I heard the president saying there are umbrellas all over the place. I'm not very optimistic that you are going to be able to arrest that situation. Because where there is a need and there is somebody to provide that need, I'm not sure you can appoint a policeman to deal with that. And it's true that these umbrella people will even charge higher fees, but people need to make payment here and now. And they can't walk to the, what's it now, ATM, or maybe they can't find a registered agent around. They're going to do whatever it is they need to do. So how are we going to be able to make those umbrella people part of us? I don't know. I'm not now recommending. I'm just looking at how some of these things work. And the truth of the matter is that when you even have digital channels, we also even have to begin to think about peer-to-peer transactions. In other words, and that's what we need to continue to do. as well. So we don't need to reinvent the wheel. I think what we need is to constantly monitor what is happening by this type of ongoing research, and also the flexibility and quickness to make adjustments and amends, particularly in terms of regulatory provisions. It's obvious that the FSPs also need to do a lot more in terms of engagement and in terms of support to agents. But it is very clear that the AMMBAN and every other person needs to ensure you're working closely with the agents in terms of education, orientation, continuing education, and support, even including intervening with police, with local government, etc., the necessary advocacy and the necessary support, as well as self-regulation to be able to weed out, either bad eggs and to straighten out people to do things in the right way. But it's obvious that we need more inclusion also. We need more agents. And at various levels, how to get those agents and to ensure that they are largely in line is something that we still need to do. We still need to go to the rural areas. And it's not just about cash in, cash out. We need to ensure that there are products that makes the lives of rural dwellers, that improves the economic, economic fortunes of rural dwellers. And we shouldn't all be concentrated in the urban areas as well. So, by and large, I think what it means is let's do what we are doing with the heart of service. Service to the people. And when you are doing service, the returns will come back and they will be eminently profitable. I hope this is useful in terms of setting the tone. I want to say thank you very much. It's been very enjoyable doing all of this research and keeping in touch with you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Prof.